I just heard I just heard a little bit of it. I hate my fucking voice so much.
Everything is dependent on oil.
We are killing for gasoline.
The world is almost out of water.
Water. Now there's the water wars.
Here they come again.
Fury Road. Just saw it. Fuck.
That was a fucking insane movie. It really was. Okay.
Fuck. No,
we've only watched Road Warrior. Neither of us have watched Mad Max or Beyond Thunder.
Basically, Mad Max itself was actually a really slow-paced movie. It was very, very slow-paced.
Well, it was indie. I was reading some about how it was made, and like it was made on like $7,000. Like they had
nothing, almost
no
nothing.
budget. It was raw. And this one is interesting because if you look at the Road Warrior, that at least is sort of grounded in reality. Where this one is just a straight fantasy movie at part. Well, like not straight fantasy, but like you had the Road Warrior, and then you had like the Borderlands games that took the Road Warrior and made it a little bit more ridiculous, or like a little crazier, and then this is at a level above that where it's just full on insane, but I loved every moment of it.
It all felt grounded. There's a couple parts where it was ridiculous.
It felt grounded, but it didn't necessarily feel like it was plausible, but I didn't care.
The Milk Maidens. I'm going to call them that from now on.
They were the Milk Mothers.
The Milk Mothers. And it was really, really cool that it really took jumps. It really took jumps at your logic, at your... It was gritty as shit. Favorite personal part was the fucking guitarist the entire time, matching the orchestra punch for punch. Again, ridiculous looking, but... Did you just honk? We have Mad Max as your semi-hero. Really, I found myself rooting a little bit more for Charlize.
Yeah, and Furiosa is basically a co-lead.
She feels almost more like the lead, just because she feels so human. Mad Max felt a little bit cold to me.
What he is he's just, he's like an audience way in, but he's not really the one that gets the most development.
Furiosa by far felt more of a protagonist to me. She felt more human. She felt definitely more, not more soft. I don't want to call her soft. She was hardcore, but she was more relatable.
Yeah, because she has an actual arc and is doing stuff. Here's the thing that's interesting about him. Because he doesn't act a lot in it, but he's doing a lot of really subtle acting. Like it's the way that his voice constantly sounds hoarse, like he hasn't got enough to drink, and then also there's almost just an animal grunting to it.
He was furious. He was Mad Max after being
He was just
deserted.
an animal.
Absolutely,
he was just
deserted in this place for so long. The movie at every single point, it seemed to add brutality to itself whenever it could. It was essentially adding to its own legend. There were parts where he initially pulls them over from after the first little gunfight. Essentially, he walks up on them and they're all bathing in the water, which hot shit already. There were parts where I really thought that it was just going to go the normal movie route. He had her down. He had her pinned down, finally, and he fired 3 shots right next to her head, and it added such a brutal seriousness to the movie.
It was great. They were punctuation marks.
This was gritty in every way.
I love, too, that, like, they actually genuinely would have killed each other if the shotgun had worked.
Yeah.
Like, I loved that moment. No, like, I would have killed.
Serious in every way. Age of Ultron was silly. It was... And I don't want to bring Age of Ultron into it.
We're just going to flash, like, don't get offended fanboys here, like at the bottom. The one thing I will say is some of the CGI at the beginning is not good. The practical effects are just amazing. You know those ones with the seesaw things in the air? They actually did that. That's straight up stunt work. That's not CGI at all. And I was just like, that's insane.
There was a mechanical theory to it, to where it almost felt like these cars were almost dragons. They were mythic.
I loved the lance grenades. I thought that was like the coolest shit in the world.
Brilliant.
I thought that was the coolest shit in the world. There were just a lot of small touches like that. Like at one point they have like one of those dog pole loop things, I forget, and they put it around her neck and try to jerk her out. If you were in car warfare where you wanted to keep the car but you wanted to kill the driver, that would actually be really practical. And there were a lot of small things like that where you're like, oh, they've been doing this a lot. There were great world building moments like that all over the movie. and it also kept that relentless tone throughout.
So practical effects, and mainly it was the cars were their own character.
I love the war rig. By the end, it was its character, and it was
its
awesome.
own character.
And it's just like, it reminded me a little bit, you haven't watched it with Fury. It's
Yes,
like
sir.
that ending part in the ending third where it's just, you go like, oh shit, this is a fortress.
This is
a fortress,
This is
and they're
our
defending
castle. This is our
Yeah.
kingdom. We must protect it with our lives. Their characters of the car were better than a lot of characters in movies.
Yeah,
Period.
and that was the thing, is like everything was distinctive. And even, I remember, every time you get a close-up of one of the war guys, one of the war boys, like, there's something cool going on with his even in the ending fight, there's something cool going on with his costume though. Like, right at the end, you have a shot of a war guy, and he's there for like 3 seconds, but he has like a dead baby skull on, or a dead doll face, and you're just like, there's just these moments where you're like, oh, that's
Appropriate
shit,
use
that's
of
cool.
skulls.
And then they just immediately go on to the next thing. They're not like, oh, this is a cool thing, let's stay here. It's no more awesome. Such a badass in that movie.
She was badass.
She's got one arm and she's beating up people.
I almost felt like the choreography of, what am I saying, 28 Days Later, 28 Weeks Later.
Yeah.
To where there was almost a speed to it. There was brutality. In a world where slow-mo, and I fucking love slow-mo.
It was manic.
It was manic the entire time. The speed was sped up. It felt
Like
like
the pale boy war boys, they're just skittering. Like, that was the thing you got at the beginning, is they're just skittering
they
around
were
almost.
monsters. They were less human, and it punctuated that so much with the speed of this movie.
Even in the quieter moments, the movie keeps the emotion. You're in the moment, even in the quieter moments.
I felt very present this movie.
Yeah, the whole
I felt
movie.
completely present. It never didn't have me right there waiting for what was happening next. Solid action.
And there's
gutty
a lot
action.
of it, but you don't get tired of it.
I never felt like this was numb.
Yeah.
I never felt like it was a numb scene. They would add a new angle, they would Guillermo del Toro kind of,
Or they would just
add a new angle.
They would do something different with it. Like, again, that night sequence, it mixes up the action. What's going on?
There was really only one time when I felt slightly disappointed, but I see why they did it. Was when they're in the place and it's at night, and they're pushing along the thing, and he goes back and fights the tank thing by himself, and he comes back with the ammo. I'm like, I would have liked to seen him take it apart.
Here's the thing. I was like that too, but the other time I was like, this was already such an engaging sequence, and it's so cool that he just goes and comes back. There's just an explosion in the distance, and he comes staggering back. And I was like, there's going to be more I'm not disappointed by the lack of it, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's not like Godzilla, where the two monsters are coming at each other, and then we cut away, and we don't see the fight. This is a movie where we saw enough of the fighting, and it was interesting enough that I wasn't like, I didn't feel cheated.
The director Miller.
George Miller.
George Miller.
Really hope he gets exactly the same budget to do something exactly like this. I'd say give him all the money in the world.
And I
but
don't
that
feel
can
like I
ruin
know
it.
what budget there was.
Yeah, I feel like the budget was not that big because some of the CGI, especially the CGI in the beginning, like, it's not great. It's a little bit like, it's a little fakey, but they saved the money for the practical effects, and those are the like. And that storm was awesome.
The storm was absolutely epic. And if you think about it, the world goes to wasteland. There's going to be these super desert storms.
Yeah.
With all the sand particles rubbing against each other, and then there's lightning, tornadoes. Bring up the IMDb page on your phone.
The top search for IMDb is IMDb Mad Max.
IMDb.
IMDb.
International Movie Database.
I think it's Internet Movie Database.
International.
I think it's internet.
I'm saying it's international right now.
Oh, it doesn't say. But did you catch what they were carving onto his back at the beginning?
What was it?
Basically, they're carving like universal blood donor, genitals in okay condition. His weight, things like that. It was, again, they're basically treating these people like a resource, a commodity.
Because if you think about it, if there's no more animals, that is your animal.
Yeah, and it doesn't
your animals.
actually make sense from an actual like realistic idea, but in terms of like the logic of the world.
Yeah.
The logic of the world is the slightly nightmare exaggeration, and it works beautifully in terms of that.
Yeah, Nicholas Hoult was incredible. He just added kind of a soul to these soulless, white guys, to where you really. I'm glad that they brought that.
Yeah,
him into
because through him you understand all the other ones, how they're just these fanatic
these
maggot
soulless,
boys.
testosterone fueled.
But at the same time, a little bit
people.
insecure almost.
Yeah. and he brought that insecurity.
Yeah, he brought it perfectly.
In a beautiful way. Beautiful. Rictus Erectus is the big dude.
Yeah, they have great names.
Excellent naming.
Like, they did that from the Road Warrior. The Splendid, what was it?
She
the Splendid
Rosie Huntington Whiteley
Harrod.
from,
You didn't expect it, too. You thought she was going to last, she was going to be the one that lasted throughout, that they were going to chase the whole time.
And you just saw, and just the brutality of the brutality all the time. Brutality of the statement that he said, I saw a girl under the tires.
Yeah.
I saw her go under.
Yeah,
Did you see her go under? I saw her go under.
Like, that's the waste. If you go under the tires, you're dead.
But again, they don't need stupid gore. They can just, again, cinematography-wise, this movie, it didn't really have that much violence.
It mostly had car violence.
Yes.
Like, that was the thing. You got really cool car deaths. But
the rest
people
was
deaths were
suggested.
like... Yeah, and you didn't need more a lot of the time. This is telling me you can't overhype a movie, because this movie was overhyped to shit, and I was still the whole time just like, this movie is firing on all cylinders.
Charlize Theron, you're gorgeous.
Again, even as the Butch Warrior.
The Butch armless warrior, and you're still sexy? Holy shit.
Oh,
that's
she's
sexy.
a beast.
That's sexy.
She really is.
I almost wanted more of that. If there was anything that I needed more from, it was Mad Max's character.
Himself. I thought he did better than he needed to. Like, again, he brought this animal part to the role, and like, he's a good everyman, but
I wanted
again,
a little bit
he's
more
not,
resolution
there's not a lot to him
I
there.
wanted more resolution from his character. Because if you really think about it, all his torment, nothing was really solved by what he did.
Yeah, he follows a dead girl into the waves.
No, I mean, he solved a lot of other people's problems. He didn't solve his own problems, though. I don't feel like he changed.
Well, and the thing is,
enough.
the fixing, saving a community and then walking out into the waste because he doesn't belong there thing, they did that in the Road Warrior. I mean, that's exactly what they did. And there's an extent to which this is later in the timeline, but essentially almost a reboot in terms of how the story works.
I did want Mad Max to change a little bit.
Yeah, I wanted a little bit more, especially when you have an actor like Tom Hardy.
I did feel like he brought a little bit of Bane with him, though.
Yeah,
just a little bit.
I think it maybe just is how he talks normally, because there's a little bit of that clipped quality, and his Australian accent was not great, but he doesn't talk enough that
I don't need
really
to.
is a problem.
I am confused, but not even caring that she didn't have an accent.
Charlize Theron?
Yeah. Did she?
Yeah, no.
I don't remember one.
She really didn't.
She was just Charlize. Closing statement. Mad Max, 10 out of 10. Absolutely perfect movie. I don't know how they could have made it better. I almost don't hope for a sequel. Leave this in perfection. This is exactly the way movies should be. It had modern pacing and a classic sense of despair through the entire movie. The desert was a perfect character.
It's a beautiful movie too.
Gorgeous movie.
It's beautiful.
I forgot what camera they used for it.
We're not looking it up because nobody cares.
I know, right? I'm a cine buff, so it's it was beautiful, lush, but it still had this despair to it.
It was beautiful but barren.
Barren, absolutely barren.
I loved just the world it was in, and it's the perfect story to tell, and it really is just one long chase sequence, and it works really well.
So, rankings so far. We will do some reviews with whatever. I don't know what we're gonna do. I'm a fat fuck. Sorry. Give me a second. This is easily, and by such a long margin, this is easily number one for the year. Easily.
Yes, you're in that energy for so long, and that's the thing about
don't fucking drive after this movie. Do not drive. Just sit there for an hour or so and just come back to your senses. You will drive aggressively. Jake Anthony, what's your?
I'll come up with one.
Dude, come up with one now.
I'm gonna come up with one later. Again, nobody's gonna watch the first one of these.
Dude, fucking Sir William.
Oh god, I'm not doing that.
Carversations, Jake Anthony, Sir William. I'm doing it.
We're not using
I'm doing it. Like, subscribe, follow, whatever.
Comment, like, subscribe.
Comment, like, subscribe.
Comment, like. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Vine. We don't have one. Spiritually follow us.
Jake Anthony Photo on Instagram, and Jake Anthony Photography in general. Look us up.
Also, check out my book, which is in an alternate future with my friends. Everyone is Hispanic.